We begin now at the top of Daf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph in Maseches Brachos. This is Berachos Daf 41a. The Gemara was just discussing what is the meaning of the term novolos. What kind of dates are they? And the Gemara also brought in a Mishnah in Demai, which uses the term novolos tamra. And the Gemara had a basic machlokus what these terminologies mean, and the two options were bushle kamra, which meant it was parched dates, and then the second one was tamri dezeka, which means it's dates that are blown off by the wind. So now the Gemara is giving a different version of the pros and cons of each man d'amar. So the Gemara says bishlam man d'amar tamri dezeka. We can say that it's good according to the one who says that it is dates blown off by the wind. Hainu dehacha karila novlos stama v'hasam karila tamara. That's why it makes sense that in one case, in our Mishnah, they call it novlos stam, and in the Mishnah in Demai, it's called novlos tamara. Rashi here explains. Bishlam alamanda amar novlos didemai tamri dezeka. What it means like this: according to the one who says that the novlos in the Mishnah in Demai refer to the dates that are blown off by the wind, the novlos demasnisenu kimna babushle kamra, and the novlos of our Mishnah is referring to a different kind of date. It's referring to the parched dates. Hainu dahacha karelu novlos tomorrow of masnisin tanan novlos tama. That makes sense that the Mishnayos would use two different terminologies. Over here, we'd call it in the Mishnah in Demai, we'd call it novlos tomorrow. In the Mishnah in our Mishnah, we're going to call it novlos tama. That makes sense. But the Gemara says, Ela laman damar bushle kamra, but according to the one who says that it's parched dates, nisni idi v'idi novlos tamara. So we should say, in both situations, use the same term. If it always means bushle kamra, use the same term of novlos tamara. Oedi v'idi novlos, or in each one use the same term of novlos. But in any case, why use different terminologies? Idi v'idi novlos tam. In each case, just say the word novlos. Kasha, the Gemara says it is a kasha according to the understanding that in both Mishnayos, the word novolos and novolos tamara are always referring to bushle kamra. Why different terms are used remains difficult. The Gemara now continues. The Mishnah said, Hayu lefanav minim harbe. So the Gemara here had the Mishnah here rather had a machlokus. What do you do if a person has many species in front of the person? Does the person make a bracha on the min shiva, on one of the 7 species of fruit of Eretz Yisrael, or do you make a bracha on the one that is chaviv? The Rabbanan say you make a bracha on the one that is chaviv, the one that he prefers. So the Gemara now wants to understand what is the machlokus in the Mishnah referring to. So Amar Ula says, machlokus b'shibirchosei and shavos. The machlokus in the Mishnah is talking about a situation where it's the same bracha you have in front of you. You have in front of you, let's say, borei pri ha'etz on zeisim, and you have a borei pri ha'etz on tapuchim, on apples. So zeisim are one of the 7 species of fruit of Eretz Yisrael, and tapuchim, apples, are just a regular fruit. So which one comes first? So the Rabbi Yehuda Sava, Rabbi Yehuda holds min shiva adif, that one of the 7 species, the zayis in this case, would come first. For Rabbanan Savri min chaviv adif, but the Rabbanan say the one that you prefer would come first. If a person prefers the apple, he would make a bracha on the apple first. Aval, but b'she'ein birchosei and shavos, if a person has in front of him items which do not have the same bracha, everybody agrees that you make a bracha on one and you have to make another bracha on the other. So it seems kind of obvious, right? If I'd have in front of me something that's a borei pri adam and a borei pri eitz, isn't it obvious I need to make 2 brachos? So Rashi explains why it's not so obvious. Rashi says, ein bracha achas potarton, one bracha cannot cover both, v'shuv ein kan machlokas, and there's no machlokas. Ve'afa gav d'tnan berach al peros ilon borei pri adam yatsa. So now Rashi is explaining the chiddush. Even though we learned in the Mishnah that if a person makes a bracha on fruit of a tree, a borei pri adam, it works, it's your yotze, hani mili bechad mina, v'ta uberach aleh borei pri adam. That's only true when that's all you have in front of you is this one thing, this one item, and you make a mistake, you make a borei pri adam. Avol tznon v'zayis, but if a person has in front of him a radish and an olive, uberach al tznon, and he makes a bracha, let's say, on the radish, and he makes a hadama lo niftar zayis, the olive, you're not going to be patur the olive would still require borei pri eitz. So this is according to Ula. The discussion in the Mishnah is talking about when you have in front of you 2 species that are borei pri eitz, not talking about, we are not discussing when you have a borei pri eitz and a borei pri adam in front of you. So now the Gemara asks the question, Meisei, we ask from a brisa, hayu lefanav tznon v'zayis, exactly this case. Person has in front of him a radish and a zayis, a borei pri adam and a borei pri eitz, mevorech al tznon upoter as a zayis. It says you can make a bracha on the tznon and you pater the zayis, which is exactly the opposite of what we're saying. It seems like you can make a borei pri adam and it paters both. The Gemara says, Hacha b'mayaskinim kashatz no nikr. No, in this case of the brisa, we're talking about where you have an ikr and a tuffle. The main thing you're eating is really the tznon, and then the tuffle, the thing that's just accompanying, is the zayis. So in that case, of course, you can make a bracha on one and pater the other. If so, a masefa, look at the end of the very same brisa. Rabbi Yehuda Omer mevarech al hazayis, shazayis mimin shiva. You make a bracha on the zayis because it's one of the 7 species. So this seems to be the same machlokas Rabbanan and Rabbi Yehuda. And if this, so it's obvious, it's clearly not an obvious case of ikr and tuffle. Why would Rabbi Yehuda say that you make a bracha on the zayis? The Gemara continues. Lastly, the Rabbi Yehuda hadatan, does Rabbi Yehuda not hold of the Mishnah which says kol shu ikr v'imo tvela mevarech al ikr poter satvela, that when you have an ikr and a tuffle you make a bracha on the ikr and you pater the tuffle? That seems to be obvious. Everyone should agree. And if you're going to say no, Rabbi Yehuda actually disagrees with that principle. Hachanami de Leslie doesn't hold of it. V'atanya, we learned in the Brisa. Rabbi Yehuda says imach mas tznon. On the contrary, Rabbi Yehuda says explicitly that if the whole reason you have the zayis is because of the tznon, so then you do make a bracha on the tznon and you pater the zayis. You do say that you make a bracha on the ikr and pater the tuffle. So the Gemara says liolam b'tznon ikr askinan. So really, this whole brayz of this discussion is talking about where you have the tznon is the ikr, and obviously you make a bracha on the ikr, you pater the tuffle. V'chi pligi Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbanan v'mil sa'achrisi pligi v'chisurei mechzer v'hachi katani. So really, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan are arguing in this brayz about something completely different, and there's words missing in the brayz, and you have to read as follows. And here's the real way to read the brayz. Hayu lefan of tznon v'zayis, mavarech al tznon upoter hazayis. Again, if you have in front of you a tznon and a zayis, you can make a bracha on the tznon and pater the zayis. B'amed devarim amurim keshat tznon ikr. That's true, and the tznon is the main thing. Avalena tznon ikr, but if it's not the ikr, divrei hakol mavarech al zeh v'choz mavarech al zeh. Certainly, you have to make a bracha on both. Ushnei minin bialma, and then the brisa continues. If you have 2 species in general, Berachos and Shavos, which the brachos are the same, mevarech al eza mehen sheyirtz, so the person can make a bracha on whichever one he wants. Rabbi Yehuda Omer mevarech al hazayis shazayis mimin shiva. But Rabbi Yehuda says no. Rabbi Yehuda says you make a bracha on the zayis because that is one of the 7 species. So in fact, exactly the way Ula explained the machlokas in our Mishnah, that's what's going on in this brisa. Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan are arguing about a situation where you have 2 items that are both borei pro'etz, and again the Rabbanan say you make a bracha on whichever one you prefer, and Rabbi Yehuda says you make a bracha on the species of one of the 7 species of fruits of Eretz Yisrael. Gemara now continues. Pligi bar Rabbi Ami for Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. There was a machlokas about this issue between Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. Chad Amar machlokas b'Berachos and Shavos. So one of them says that the machlokas is, as we said before, like Ula, that the machlokas in the Mishnah is when the bracha is identical. The Rabbi Yehuda savar min shiva adav Rabban and savri min chaviv adav. Rabbi Yehuda holds that the one of the 7 species come first, and the Rabbanan say the one you prefer comes first. Ava b'shein Berachos and Shavos divrei hakol mavarech hazeh v'choz mavarech hazeh. But if the brachas are not identical, everybody agrees you have to make 2 brachas. And the other opinion says that no, the machlokas actually is even when the brachas are not identical. So what's going on? We understood, we already explained. When they're identical brachas, we explained what the issue is. The issue is which one do you make the bracha on. But if you're talking about having in front of you a borei pri adama and a borei pri eitz, but my pligi, what exactly is the issue? How could it be that you make 1 bracha if you're not talking about an ikr and tuffle situation and you have a borei pri adama and a borei pri eitz in front of you? What argument is there? Of course you have to make 2 brachas. So the Gemara says, no, there is an argument. There's a legitimate argument here. Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah lahakdim. The issue here is, let's say you're trying to figure out which one comes first. Of course you have to make 2 brachas. The machlokas between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Yehuda is, do you make the bracha on the one you prefer first, or do you make a bracha on the 7 species of fruit of Eretz Yisrael first? The Amar Rav Yosef, Yitamer Rabbi Yitzchak, because Rav Yosef said, and some say Rabbi Yitzchak said, Kol hamuktam b'pasuk zeh muktam lebracha. Anything that's first in the pasuk gets its bracha first. Shnamar, like it says, Eretz Chito Sor of Agafen Otain of Rimon, Eretz Zeis Shemen Udavash. These are the 7 species of Eretz Yisrael: the wheat and the barley and the vine and the figs and the pomegranates and the olives, the olive oil and the honey. So the honey, of course, coming from dates. So you follow the order in the pasuk. And that statement that we just quoted, that you follow, that this pasuk is giving you the order of brachos, argues on Rabbi Chanan. Rabbi Chanan says, "Kol pasukula l'shiurin nemar." This pasuk is not talking about the order of brachos. This pasuk is talking about shiurin. It's talking about different sizes nogea to halacha. We're going to go through the sizes right now. Chita d'tanan, what is wheat? As we learned in the Mishnah, hanichnas lebeis hamenuga. If somebody enters a house which is tummy, which has saras, bekelev al ksefav, if he's holding his clothing on his shoulders, v'sandalav v'tabosa biyadav, he's holding his shoes and his rings and his hands, hu v'hein tamein miyad, everything is tummy immediately. However, hayalavush kelev v'sandalav baraglav v'tabosa betzba'osav, if he's wearing his clothing, if he's wearing his shoes, if he's wearing the rings on his fingers, hu tummy miyad, again he's tummy immediately. V'hein toran ad sheyisha b'kdei achilas pras, but they have there's a little delay till they become tummy. They are still torah until the amount of time it takes to eat a kedei achilas pras of what kind of bread? Pas chitin v'lo pas or, and there's the chitin. So it's a bread of wheat. Wheat bread is eaten a little faster than barley bread. So when we're discussing the timing of how long it takes for these things to become tamei, wheat is the shiur. Mesav ochlan beliftan, and it's talking about eating it when you're reclining and eating it with liftan, eating it with relish accompanying the bread. So ora, what about barley? The Tanan we learned in the Mishnah, etzem kesora, bone the size of a barley, metame b'mago v'masa is tamei in mago and masa, and touching it and carrying it. Ve'eno metame b'ohel, it's not metame b'ohel. Geffen, a vine, kedei revius yain l'nazir. There's a halacha of a revius of wine. There's the geffen, is the shear that a nazir is not allowed to eat. Rashi here says, "Kedei revius yain l'nazir achal chartzanim v'zagim v'lulavim kashir revius yain chayv." If he eats these are different components of the grapes. The amount of a revius of wine, he's chayiv. That's what a nazir is, of course, has to separate from any grape products. Te'ena, what about a fig? Kegrogris lo'tzas Shabbos. There's a halacha that when you carry on Shabbos, the shiur is a dried fig. And finally, rimon. What about a pomegranate? Kedetnan, like it says, kol klei bali batim. When it comes to the kalim of bali batim, and this is going to be a halacha we'll see in the next video on Daf Mem Aleph Amid Beis regarding the tum and tar of these kalim.